So my background and how I came to work with lawyers is really as a result of trying to run a practice, a law firm. And I discovered that I like working with lawyers. I like lawyers because they are clever. And the challenge is, though, turning knowledge into action. So I'm rarely telling anything to lawyers that they don't understand at least a little bit, but they're not doing anything with it. And thus, when I moved into legal operations and legal project management, I'm a trained project manager, the emphasis has always been around, so what? Yeah, there's all this cool stuff out there. So there's always the fear of missing out. There's all that. Actually, when it comes to it, who's doing what and how are they actually using it? And then when I'm working with firms, I'm just interested to observe, okay, what are you actually doing? You know all this stuff, you know the AI is out there, and so many of them are not really, they're just beginning to nibble at the edges of what embedded AI into the Microsoft platform can do. But it's really at an edge. They've not thought about how does this fundamentally change what they're offering to a client.
Yeah, so I think there's kind of two sort of currents that you're hinting at there. One of them, the existential threat, which is a much, much harder problem, and it's going to take a lot more time and energy to figure out. And by the way, I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but I think that the commodification is coming. I think that it's going to be, right now, I'm seeing a lot of people start to question paying $750 or
more,
or whatever, to do things like contract drafting or contract reviewing. The other thing that we are really much more quickly, easily, and I would say efficiently able to do is get to a point where we are comfortable with these tools and thinking of them as a tool, thinking of them as something that I am going to use some of the time for certain tasks, but I'm also going to reject it for other tasks, because the biggest problem in AI right now is that there are all these evangelists saying that AI is going to change absolutely everything this year. It's not.
No.
I may be painting myself into a box saying that.
No.
But it's going to change a lot of things, but you are also going to waste your time if you try to do everything that you do with AI.
So let's work with what we've got, what's freely available. Most functions on software is not used. You and I both know that. When you buy Adobe, and you get a horrendous amount of things you're never going to use. But the things you do use are incredibly useful. You get the hang of them. And so I think it's the same now with AI coming in. It's getting people to use it, be comfortable with it. You learn what it's good at, what it's not so good at. And it breaks beyond the fear of using. So there's a fear of missing out, but then there's the fear of using. What happens if? And lawyers have got amazing capacity for hallucinating risk and disaster. There's no limit to how bad they can think. They're pessimists by nature, and genuinely pessimists. It's the only career that Seligman found where being a pessimist was a career advantage. Okay? So this perhaps lowers that. We begin to understand what it does do, what it can do. And as I may come back and chat about later, it enables us to help clients, because our clients, if they're lawyers in big firms, big companies, are looking for guidance, because they are under the cosh too, and they don't have the resources that a law firm have, and they're expecting their lawyer to help them do their job better, which may mean less work coming to the law firm. But if you build a strong relationship, you're going to get real value.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just so much. There's so many different aspects there, because we're looking at both the technological integration, and I think that the simple answer there is, especially for the people who are going to be watching this, the technical integration, which you want to start with, is the simplest possible version of AI that you can use right now. The effect that you just talked about is going to change the business model.
Yes,
and it's going to change the value proposition that we're able to communicate to our clients, because suddenly the replacement of expertise is much easier. This is not that's creating a tendency that is not unique to the legal professions or law firms, which is that now the onus is on you to let's just go with robust way of checking the work that you're generating from these tools?
Possibly. I think you have to be much more discerning.
Mhm.
So which are the bits you really have to check and what's your confidence? So if we use the phrase delegating to, we delegate to AI. It's the same as giving it to a junior lawyer. If we talk about the traditional model,
Mhm.
how much do you check and for how long? And after a while, how much do you just let pass because you're now building confidence?
Yeah. Yeah, well, and it's a big dilemma because there's a few things that are going to go on. One of the things that's going to happen when you ask an AI to generate content for you, it's going to generate something for you that is not going to appear to be at the level of a junior associate. It's going to generate something that's going to appear to be at the level of a much more experienced associate or partner on the surface, I believe. I mean, I don't know.
No, you are right. No, you are right. But I think that comes back to how we tell the AI to behave.
Mhm.
So if we take it vanilla, you're absolutely right. You're going to go, this is brilliant. It's true. Your 8 references. It must be wonderful. Let's cut and paste. I'm with you.
Yeah.
However, if you explain to the AI it should behave in the manner of a junior lawyer who puts forward his solutions in a TED, and it's not like it used to be you needed 12 prompts and 3 LinkedIn videos to be able to understand how to do it, but genuinely tell it the personas to take. It doesn't give you many different answers, but suddenly, almost bizarrely, your relationship changes. Because you're no longer giving it the expert stage. It's behaving like a junior lawyer.
Yeah.
It's being very polite. It's saying, I found something. Is this good enough or whatever?
So I think another really interesting thing to talk about are some of the different kind of pain points that we can see in a little bit more, almost a little bit more granularity.
Okay.
I think that when people are kind of watching this, they might be thinking we're going to tell them how to do their job as lawyers better with AI. There may be a little bit of that, but that's not the central thrust necessarily of what we think people are.
I would love them to discover that.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, they need to understand using AI, and then they'll probably understand and get confidence and explore. Over the half the people working in a law firm are not lawyers, or certainly not employed to do law.
Mhm.
They're running a business.
Mhm.
And there's a huge area that we can unpack about running a business, a law firm as a business, where AI absolutely should have a place at the moment. The challenges for the firm are, firstly, security. That for them, security is everything. So that no client data can go onto a public platform.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so there is a whole raft of stuff about the way we lock this down and whatever it is.
Mhm.
So we then have to bring it in-house.
Yeah.
And then we have to talk to IT and we have to do all that kind of stuff. However, there's a lot of stuff where, frankly, fits outside that client data umbrella.
Most people don't go into the profession of law because they want to run a business.
Yeah, agreed.
They go into the profession of law because they want to practice law.
Yep.
But in order to do that on some level, you're going to have to run a business.
Yes.
And so you may really enjoy doing that and you may not.
Yeah.
If what you really want to be able to do is run your business in a way that's a little bit less painful, then AI is one of the ways that you can do that quite effectively.
Absolutely.
And that gives you more time to focus on the aspects of the profession that you're actually really interested in.
What you're now experiencing is that technology is moving into my profession. You're bringing your tanks onto my lawn because in the area of, say, legal operations, you're telling me there are better ways of getting my expertise to my clients. So my expertise is still the expertise that they want to buy, but you're telling me my clients can get it in a better way, in a more high value way. And I feel, whoa, that's quite threatening. So, and I don't have necessarily the knowledge to work out where that boundary is.
Right.
So the natural response is to resent it, to reject it, to push back from it, because it takes more than just hiring a office manager. It's really
Yeah, and I've heard that's an interesting point because I've heard from multiple different lawyers that the current general sort of, if you were to take the sort of average reaction of the legal profession to AI is head in the sand and pretend it's not there.
So I think my client base is normally the big firms. If you go to a big firm, the senior managers love it. Managing partners, they love it because they can understand how it's going to affect actually generation model. How are they going to make more money? This is one topic.
Mm.
Junior lawyers, if they can still get in a firm,
Yeah.
because obviously they're getting, then fewer firms will be hiring. They like it because it's technology.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been using it the whole time. And obviously they wonder why.
Yeah.
The challenges are that middle rank
Mm-hmm.
where we're asking people to use it, but they don't personally get the benefit from it.
Yeah.
Because if you're doing 2,000 hours a year and you're doing at the moment legal work, and it's hard work and it's grinding, it's 10 hours a day and it's not easy, but at least you're doing law.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to ask you to interact with an AI system, manage some processes, deal with legal ops people. So you've got perhaps 30% pure law, 70% running a business.
Yeah.
And if you do it quicker, you don't work for your hours. There's this hopper above you, which will always give you more work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm taking away a lot of the joy you get. And so the resistance is not unreasonable. If I was them,
Right.
I would probably want to resist too.
The real fear that people should have is not that AI is going to take their jobs in the near term.
Yep.
Or the midterm. I mean, there may be fewer juniors that are entering. There may be, new cohorts that are coming in that are smaller. That's a different issue. But the thing that is going to potentially be differential is the people that are able to use these technologies and do their job a little bit better. Do you know what I mean? So your job's not going to be taken by an AI. It's going to be taken by another lawyer that
in the short term, that's
leveraging AI.
It will
now.
In the medium term, it may well be taken by your in-house person who instructs you. If they're a lawyer, they may choose not to give you the work that you're normally expecting. So that may be a big change. But I think the big challenge for most law firms at the moment is the fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
It's the unknown. They know they don't know it, but they don't know what they need to do to know it because there's not a defined body of knowledge. There isn't a equivalent of, and it will keep on changing quickly if they did. And so I think what we're saying here is they need to adapt what's almost like an apprenticeship model.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go and learn a 3-year master's degree or whatever it is in AI. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen
unless you want to be a data engineer.
And it's not going to necessarily make you better at your job because if you do that, you're going to learn all kinds of crazy technology. Yeah, it doesn't actually.
Yeah, and you're going to get really sucked into agents and all sorts of strange programming languages that you really didn't want to go there. You really didn't.
Yeah.
What you're looking for, and if we talk about that apprenticeship model, is you start small in an area where you know what you're doing exactly. So you kind of and then you can apprentice other people. They say, look, this is what I've discovered. Let's have a look at it together. A bit later, we might show a couple of examples of where it can be done now.
Mm-hmm.
But what's really powerful is when a lawyer finds out and then shows their colleagues. And a lawyer who goes, this is saving me. I've saved an hour this morning. I would have faffed around with this letter or this bill or this piece of analysis. It just did it. Let me show you.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay. So I'm then not worried about change projects. And by the way, change projects are always doomed to fail when you give them a title. Right. Learning, trying, the technology is there.
Mm-hmm.
So use what's there.
Also, one of the things that we're going to be really focusing on is exactly what you just mentioned, is that concept of the apprenticeship. And when you learn from your peers, it always makes the value of whatever you learn much higher. So
effective behavioral change is built on a series of aha moments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because when they go, aha, that means statement is far bigger than you and I could imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that means in my world, but you suddenly set off a completely different chain reaction in an area of your thinking, which I have no access to and never will.